So should we wait for her or start the meeting?
Let me wait until I get YouTube going.
Okay.
Okay. You might as well start, Roger. We got enough stuff to do.
Okay.
And
All right. Well,
let me place the spotlight. There we go.
okay. Welcome everybody. This is the Menomonee Falls Camera Club May meeting, and everything that we'll cover in here is in the newsletter. That if you don't get the newsletter, let me or Ellen know, and we'll get you on the mailing list for it. Is there anybody new in the...
Oh, here, let me switch it for you. Yeah, we do have, I thought I saw Maggie Brown.
Yes.
Yep, she's here. she's a new one I talked to this week. Hi, Maggie.
Hi,
I'm
how are
Jeff.
Maggie, can you tell us a little bit about what types of photography you like to do? What camera equipment you use?
Well, right now I'm using a Canon, and I like nature. I like a lot of nature, birds, bugs, of that stuff. Right now, my brother talked me into getting a Lumix, and I was using that over the weekend, and I'm not as happy with it as I was with my Canon. So I don't know if I just have to relearn it or go back to my Canon, but I was really happy with that.
Yeah, I think on the Lumix, the menu system is quite a bit different.
Oh, is it? So it's not just me. I just have to relearn it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. In the club, we have a good mix of people that mainly use Canon, Nikon, and Sony.
Oh, okay.
And we've got some pretty good experts on some of that. But happy to have you join us. We even have some people that are just taking pictures with their cell phones these days.
Oh, I got hollered at. My brother's one of those professionals. He's in a camera clubs up in or down in South Carolina. And I sent him a picture of a bear and her cubs that I had taken in Gatlinburg, but I had taken it on my cell phone. And he got mad at me and he said, you can't be doing that because it's not raw. And he couldn't fuss with it. So
Yeah, well, some phones have the ability to take raw. Mine, I take both raw and a DNG file, I believe, at the same time when I take a picture. So
really, now
yeah.
I have an Apple 11, I think it's an Apple 11 or an Apple 13. Is that one that would be able to do it in RAW if I knew how to set it?
Yeah,
Oh,
that would do it in RAW.
okay. That's not going to help my bears any, but it'll help for future reference.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll move on with the other parts of our meeting here then.
Okay.
Glad to have you along.
Thank you.
For Wacko News, Jeff just sent out a email, I believe it was yesterday, that this weekend, May 6th from 11:30 to 2 is the judging on the Wacko competition. And you have to sign up for that. And then they send you an email with the link to get to the meeting. And it's fascinating to watch. I'd recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, and if anybody wants the link, they just need to email me and I can send them a link to sign up. pretty much the people that got the email were ones that had either are signed up for the uploader or entered the competition. So if any
Is
of you,
that, excuse me, is that the one that, the water is the,
No, that's something that we'll see tonight. This competition for WACO, which is Wisconsin Area Camera Clubs, is a statewide competition that has a spring and fall competition. And it's the primary judging has already taken place. And what will be shown on Saturday, the judges will go through the top pictures that were selected and select which one is first, second, and third, and pick the ones for best to show. And
Okay.
it shows what the state has to offer for photography. And typically our club usually does real well. We have a lot of people from our club that enter in that.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
People can give you some help then.
Sure. And it also does a good job of helping you understand what the judges are looking for in a picture, how they're viewing it. Yeah. Let's see. Digital form news. Jeff, you had Drema do a talk on photo pills, and that was quite interesting.
Yeah, and that's now on the WACO website. So if people want to rewatch it or want the handout that she had, that's all on the WACO website under Digital Forum.
Okay.
Next
I
month
didn't realize that was logged underneath WACO.
Yeah, it's under WACO, and then there's a drop-down menu for Digital Forum, and that's where you can get the newsletter for WACO, and then that's where the videos are all posted.
Okay.
We might do something different one of these days with it, but for now, that's where it's all sitting. And this month we have Jeff Engel, who's going to talk about African safaris and how to, if you want to get involved in something like that, or just info of traveling to Africa and doing a photo safari. So
yeah, Brian Latimus has been there a couple of times too.
Oh yeah, Brian probably knows about as much as Jeff does, but
yeah,
I've been there 4 times, going back in September.
Yeah.
Wow. And in other things, there's a Whitewater Arts Alliance is having a competition for that the pictures will be shown in the gallery, the ones that get accepted. And the deadline for that is May 30th. Again, there's more information on that in the newsletter. And this last Saturday, we should have had a outing to Shady Lane Nursery. How did that go?
Yeah, that went well. We had, I don't know, around 12 people there. Bad news was it rained, but the good news was it rained. So there were many customers. Some of the plants are a little bit slow in blooming, but there was enough. And the good thing was, because there were so many plants that had not been sold yet, so it was easy to get some good backgrounds. And there's been a lot of sharing on the Camera Club Facebook page, as I'm sure you've seen. So it was a good day, and good to see so many people out. And it's one of those events where it's always as much photography as it is joining up with friends again. So it was a good day, very good day.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always some good pictures and good times there. And also, while you're talking, Brian, we've got another zoo trip lined up on June 3rd, where it's going to be concentrating on the outside animals this time.
Yeah, well, people can do whatever they want, but the snow should have melted by then, so hopefully it'll be a good day. And so there's a good write-up, in the newsletter about it. Fortunately, I opened up the newsletter about an hour ago and was reminded that's coming up so quickly, and several weeks away, but yet this is we'll by the time our next camera club meets, it'll be after June 3rd. So it's, again, I think, take a check on the weather and determine whether you need to get there early to get in or hang around, come in late if it's real busy. But in past years, we've been meeting for lunch out at Lake Evinrude, in the picnic table area. And I think we'll try to do that again this year. And so that's a good chance for all of us to get together. But assuming, that I can get in well, I think we'll meet about, again, so the zoo opens at 9:30 as a reminder, 9:30 it opens. And so hopefully we'll be able to meet around 9:45 in the US Bank welcoming area and go out. We're gonna, head out from there. So looking forward to it. So the animals should be out by then. The crappy weather, a lot of them have been not out. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be warming up, so it should be good.
yeah. I've got a lot of flowers that are just waiting for the next warm, sunny day to open up.
I know.
Um,
Any questions about that outing?
Pardon me?
Any questions about that outing
Oh.
from anybody? Okay, I'll look forward to seeing you all there.
Okay. Other photo opportunities, there's Raptors in Focus photo shoot at by Schlitz Audubon. And that's Saturday, May 13th. I think it's $60 or $75 to join that, but usually they do a pretty good job. And Wacko is looking at setting up something like that in the fall.
Yeah, I think the Raptor shoot for Schlitz is $100.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Depending on whether you're a member or not.
Yeah.
I think it's a little cheaper for members than for non-members. So
Yeah, I think it is. And the Wisconsin chapter of the Photographic Society of America, PSA, is having an outing in Marquette, Michigan, May 19th to 21st. Hopefully the snow will be melted by then. They just got 20 inches
yeah,
up there last night.
Could be a little chilly out there.
Yeah, and then there's a rodeo, Bulls and Barrels, Saturday, June 24th. That a few people go to that and usually come back with some spectacular pictures of bull riding. And for all members, Jane Hurst is putting together a slideshow to show next month. The deadline is coming up pretty quick. And the theme of the slideshow is leading lines. So be sure to send your pictures in for that. The President's Challenge slideshow for tonight on water that Maggie asked about, I have, and I'll show that in just a couple minutes. And next month, the theme for that will be flowers and plants, which by then people should have some flowers and plants, I would hope, for this spring.
There are some really nice ones taken at the greenhouse, at the greenhouse that they better submit, because there were some really lovely floral plant images that showed up on the web on our website.
Yeah, on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people, please send me those photos too, so I can put them on the website. Not everybody sees Facebook, and we need to update our front page of our website. So I could really use some photos from the last couple outings that you guys have done.
How many images, Jeff? How many images?
Oh, 4 or 5 would be fine.
Great.
Does Shady Lane Nursery have their own Facebook page too?
They do. And
Maybe we could somehow, promote them, and we could send them pictures too that they could post underneath their Facebook page too.
yeah, Clint and others, what you can do is, if you do a posting in the Camera Club's Facebook page, they can't see them because it's restricted. But for those who post outside the Camera Club Facebook page, if you would indicate that the location, I sent out it was a posting in the Camera Club Facebook page, but if you would list Shady Lane as a location you did the shoot, they would then be able to see your photos. I did that, and they sent me an email and said, thank you, we really enjoyed your pictures. So they do look at them.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's good. Would it help, Jeff, if any of the pictures that I've used for these slideshows, would you want any of those?
Sure. Or if you want to just send me the video, I can post the video that you make.
Okay, I believe I've kept the slideshow video from every month.
Yeah, do that, and I'll create a special page for that, and then we can have all those up too. The more stuff we have on there to get people's interest, the better.
Okay. Sure, I can do that. And I was keeping all of that together in a folder that I was going to delete at the end of the year. But if you want any of those individual pictures for the website, just let me know.
Sure. Yeah, you could probably package it all together and send it to me, and they'll give me images that I can use all year long, and plus the videos will be up there. So
yeah, that's assuming any of the people that that provided pictures for that are agreeable to that.
yeah.
I don't think anybody would be would have a problem with that. Let me know if you do. We can always take your stuff out. So tonight's main presentation is going to be on post-processing techniques, and Jeff has provided a image to let's see, 6 different people, and we're going to review what each person has done to modify that image, how they've taken on that task differently. But first, I'll do the President's Challenge slideshow, and then we'll do the main presentation, and we can take as long as we want on that.
Yeah,
Sound
Roger,
good?
can we do one more thing before you start your slideshow thing?
Oh, no, it's not on my agenda. I don't know.
I know, but unless you want to keep going as president, we have elections next month. And if we
Okay.
don't get in, something to help us find a vice president. So I'm looking for a volunteer out there. And let's see, we've got 37 people watching tonight. I am looking for somebody that would like to step up to be vice president, as Clint will take over as president. So if somebody doesn't volunteer tonight or in the next few days, you may be getting a phone call from me, usually around 9 o'clock at night, to see if you'd like to be vice president. And Roger can probably attest it's not a super hard job to be president of the group. There is some work involved. I know Roger does really well. I haven't had to help him at all, which is really nice. It's given me a year break. But so we are looking for a VP, and then the following year the VP becomes president. So anybody that might be interested, please get a hold of me. We need to vote on this next month. It sort of snuck up. I'm running behind on this stuff because of all sorts of other things, but we certainly need to find a volunteer to be vice president. So there's my pitch.
Now that you put in that pitch, I forgot something else that wasn't on my agenda, but I was going to there's been some interest in doing astrophotography, and I'm slowly getting around to trying to see what I can do about setting something up with Northern Cross Astronomy Club, that they have viewings where you can go and see their equipment. Is open. It's open to the public to see. Usually, it's once a month on whatever the new moon weekend is, and they're having one on May 26th and May 27th. Let's see, at Harrington Beach State Park. If you ever go to Harrington Beach, there's a parking lot up on top of the hill, and then you can go down to where most people park at the bottom. But at the top of the hill, there's a small pond there, and there looks like there's a garage. Well, that garage has a framework where they can crank the roof off of that. And in there, they have a telescope that was one of the members is the president of Carlson Manufacturing in Cedarburg. And at his facility, with the help of other people, they constructed a 22-inch mirrored telescope that is in that building. And they let people come in and see it and view through it. And again, May 26th and May 27th, it's open. And then they have on their schedule, they also have viewings at other places where they bring in a telescope or two from their members and let people see. And they do that occasionally at Pike Lake. And they also have an informational thing at Pike Lake on Saturday, June 3rd at 1 p.m., which would be during the daytime, probably showing off their equipment and how it works. I haven't set up anything that's specific to the camera club, but these are good opportunities to investigate what the people are using with telescopes. And I'm sure at the observatory that they have some methods of taking pictures, though it might be a little bit advanced for what any of us might be able to afford. So I'll be trying to get to talk to them and see what they have to offer specifically, and whether they would want to do something like have someone speak specifically to us about astronomy and photography through telescopes. So that's all I've got for that. And I'll start up the slideshow. I can remember where I stored it. I knew.
Roger, just while you're doing that, Brian Jensen just sent a chat out saying that he can set up a private event at the Modine, my glasses, Benstead Observatory in Union Grove. So maybe you could check with Brian too as you're working on this and
Okay,
set something up in a couple of spots if we needed.
sure.
Thanks, Brian. It's
Yeah,
great.
thanks. Well, okay, I've got that working. Now it would help if I share my screen. Okay, is my screen being shared to all?
Yep, we see your desktop.
Okay. Then we should just have to wait for it to start here. Which should have started by now.
This is screen sharing problem day.
I think this has more to do with running the actual video. I'll try a different player. Which is not my normal one, but we'll see what it does. Okay, that concludes the slideshow. And I'll let Jeff take over now on the main presentation.
Okay. Well, I sent everybody a really large DNG file. Hopefully
Yes, you
everybody was
did.
able to open it. But it was a panoramic view of white Whitefish Lighthouse. So who wants to go first? Because I'll go last, because I'll show what I actually did.
Okay, I can go first only because I had so much trouble before. I don't think Tony Schulist is here either. The last I heard, he was over in France. So
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to be
I
presenting.
don't think he's going to be presenting. He
No.
hasn't shown up on my list
No,
to
no. So it
log
was like,
in.
God. All right, well, hopefully I might be able to, let's just see if this works. Okay, I'm gonna hit screen sharing now. Oh, please work.
See your mouse.
We're seeing purple again.
Yeah, I know. Okay, let me see if I can bring up Photoshop.
Ian, can you think of anything that between what Jim?
So I came in late
Wait.
at the beginning. I knew she was having
Yeah.
issues, but what's happening exactly?
I'm
She's-
having issues.
Are you
This is all
sharing
we're
your whole
seeing on her. Yeah.
Are you sharing your whole desktop, or were you picking a specific program?
No, I was sharing the whole desktop and I still don't see it, Jeff, even though I changed all the,
Yeah.
And I'm guessing
'Cause it's-
your background's not a purple background, right?
my background is a purple background.
Oh, it is a purple. So we're seeing her.
You're
desktop.
seeing my background.
Yeah, we're seeing, and you see Photoshop and everything on top.
And I see her
I just-
cursor.
Yeah.
So
Well,
right now, is your cursor like over a program? Like, are you in front of Photoshop right now?
yeah, it's.
Oh, I saw
it's-
the actual cursor like change there for a second. It changed to the finger, and now it's back
It's
to the-
changing. Let me see if I can open
It's very weird.
a document. Maybe.
Yeah, it is strange because we're seeing the top. We're not seeing your dock at the bottom.
Ellen,
No, my
stop sharing
doc
for
hides.
Ellen. Stop sharing for just a second, because I can't go into share screen options while you're sharing a screen. I just want to see what options it gives me for a second.
Okay.
Where I've
Oh,
seen
sure,
this kind
sure.
of problem on engineering computers is when one's running DirectX and the other one's running OpenGL, but I don't know that you should have that kind of
Well,
problem.
I think what's happening is she's not getting the setup screen that should pop up before she goes all the way to share screen,
Yeah,
which would let you pick either an app that's open or a desktop or two. Or for her, she only has the one desktop.
right.
So,
And it must be showing that because you can see it change the different applications up on top.
yeah.
So Ellen, when you do share, so you're clicking share screen at the bottom, right? That's where you're starting.
Yeah,
Bottom of Zoom, you click share screen, and then a pop-up comes up, right? And it's should have a whole bunch of things that says like desktop one and I don't know, other options, right? And like it says basic, advanced, and files at the top. Is that accurate?
no. I don't. Now I just wait. Oh, that's my
Yeah, and I think her problem is it's skipping that screen.
Yeah. And I know she's on Apple in Monterey.
Done. Let me close this. Let me share. Can I share my screen now, Ian?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
shoot.
Let's try that. Okay.
So you click share screen and then it does what?
And you can see my purple.
It just automatically,
Purple.
like, you don't have to choose anything else. It just goes straight into the purple when you hit share screen.
Yeah.
That is wild.
So
Yeah,
then I should be. Oh, great. Thank you.
Before the
So I should
purple
be doing
pops up,
something else.
before the purple
Oh.
pops up, I think I see her whole screen for a quarter second.
Oh.
Let's try one other thing. In your stop sharing real quick.
Maybe I should go last.
Just real quick, we could try this one thing real quick. Just
Stop
stop
sharing.
sharing. Yep. And then in Zoom, where it says Zoom at the top, if you probably have to like click on like the window here with all of us talking.
Yeah.
So you can go to Zoom and then go to settings.
Uh,
Or preferences.
Preferences,
Sorry.
okay.
Preferences, sorry. Zoom preferences. And then there is
Okay.
a share screen option, like the fourth one down. Do you have that?
Show meeting timers, add Zoom, stop video, show you Zoom updates. Let's go to video, no.
But is there like a general, there's like a general, a video, an audio, and then a
Yeah.
share screen option?
Share screen,
Share screen. Do you have,
full screen mode.
yep. And then there's a share application section. Do you
Share
have share?
individual window,
Okay. And then where it says, when I share my screen in a meeting, is yours
automatically share
Change-
desk.
change that to show all sharing options.
That's what you're doing it.
Okay, I did.
And then when I share directly in a Zoom room, it should be set to automatic. At least that's on mine.
Okay.
So now try to share your screen and let's see if you get an option.
Oh. Wait.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Now pick desktop one. I assume
Okay.
you have something called desktop one and click
Yep.
share.
No, I don't want to open system preferences.
Why did it
Mhm.
prompt you
it's-
for system preferences? It may be asking for the permissions possibly.
Oh, okay, wait. Desktop.
Yep. And then share.
Okay, and then hit share. Oh, because I hit. And security and privacy to grant access, open system preferences.
Yep. Do that real quick. This may be what you were doing earlier.
All right.
Does it tell you which one it needs this time?
You know what? My Zoom is unchecked.
So
We did
check it.
all this before, but I never locked it again.
You don't have to lock it after, but just check it
Yeah.
again real quick. Check
Just
it,
check
and then
it.
it'll probably tell you have to restart, but don't worry about restarting yet. Just check it.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Ellen, there is one other place you just might want to look. When you're in that same area where you are security and privacy, go to screen recordings and you'll see it. There's a Zoom there as well, and that needs to also be checked. Otherwise, it won't look at that stuff when there's a recording going on, which we are doing.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Okay, now I'm going to
So it's under screen recordings, so it's a little further down than where you were. And
Zoom
then,
will not be able to record the contents of your screen until it is quit.
Yeah, don't worry. Just click OK.
Yeah.
It says quit and reopen or later.
Later. Do later.
Okay. All right. And I'm sorry, Jim, did you say something?
Yeah, there's an additional one just a little lower than where you were in, I think, accessibility. You need to go down to where it says screen recording.
In
And there is,
accessibility.
well, it's down below accessibility, about four items down. It says screen recording.
It's not within accessibility. It's below the accessibility, like
Correct. It's below accessibility. So it's,
category. Yeah.
I think
Oh,
it says
screen
input
recording.
monitoring, full disk
Yep, she
monitoring
found it.
Okay,
files.
and
She
that
found it.
is selected.
Okay. So now go back
Yeah.
and try to share your screen again.
Well, did she check the other part that she needed to check, that Zoom for sharing screen? We got sidetracked on the
wait.
recording part.
I see
That's a good point.
people on the desktop now.
Okay. Oh, we got
There
your
we go.
desktop. We don't see Photoshop, but we see your files and your hard drive.
Yep,
You know,
we're
Because
seeing every.
Photoshop is, right.
So where's
Okay.
Photoshop?
Here's the panel picture.
Well, no, we don't see. Okay, we see your folder
Well-
called post-processing file.
Yeah,
Okay.
it might
Alright.
take a little bit
Yeah,
because it
now
was
it's
a big
working.
file.
This is why
Yeah,
when
it's-
Zoom tells you to restart, you don't have to restart.
Sometimes you
what?
do.
Sometimes you do, but usually you don't. I've had it so many
Yeah.
times where
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not gonna do the panel because it's gonna open it in RAW. I'm just gonna open Photoshop. So it looks like I can see my Photoshop on
Yep.
my screen now.
yep, we can see Photoshop.
Okay. And so this is what I did. Okay, you see spinning circles.
It's a big file.
You-
I'm
Not when I
testing
got
everybody's equipment to see how well it works.
No, oh, Jeff, when I got finished with it, it's not a big file. Okay, let me just.
Ellen, apparently if we take your photo and my photo that I'll show in a bit, if we put them together, we get the whole photo.
You get the
I
whole
think
file.
I took the other part of the photo.
Okay, well, I took the middle part because this is what I wanted to do with it. I was practicing different ways of using turning the photo into a vector file, all right? So I cropped the house originally, and what I had purchased was a program called Photo Vectorizer. It was $5 from Mighty Deals. And if you can see my screen, you can see my cursor? It goes from here. There's like a few hundred steps here in order for it to change and make things a little bit different. So what I did was take this middle photo, and I was just sort of experimenting with working with making the vector file, which finally got me to should be coming. After I went through all of these steps from Photo Vectorizer, this is what I ended up coming up with. The house does look more linear. I got rid of a lot of, obviously, the color and so on, but what I really, my final sort of things were, and what I have to do is adjust curves, change gamma, and all this, you can play with it and so on, exposure setting. Then what it does is it saves it to Illustrator. All right, so then, oh, I have a plugin issue. Oh, well, okay. Okay, so what it does is it takes it into Illustrator where I can work with it a little bit more and size it and fix it and so on. I think I'm gonna just kind of skip to forgetting Illustrator. Yeah, okay, it's in safe mode. It's still, there's still a lot of files because of all the different action steps that this went through. And I think I made the file itself, it was supposed to be like 1600 pixels, and I did do that, but I think somehow it snuck in there as something else. I'm gonna close this. And I'm gonna just take you right to very similar. So I just took it into Illustrator, and I'm gonna take this into InDesign. Because this is where I'm going to start to play with it. So let me close this. Let me close this. And let me open InDesign. Okay. I'm not a patient person.
Well, and you got to remember Zoom is taking up a lot of computer power, so.
Oh, obviously more than I have, so. Plus the fact that I have both Photoshop and Illustrator open as well, so.
You might click, you've got InDesign open, but it's just not showing up.
No. You know what? I think it came back. I forced quit, but let me just try this again. Speak amongst yourselves. This was the worst part of my presentation. It was like, this is the first time I've ever done it, and I'm going, oh, is it going to blow up? Is it? Well, I know it's not going to. Well, technically, it's not going to blow up. Theoretically, it can blow up. But anyway, once I took Jeff's huge file and narrowed it down to make something a lot smaller, or to work with some of the specific areas, because what I was trying to do is take something that was supposed to be fairly simple and of course make it more complex than it needs to be, which I'm pretty good at most of the time. But I wanted to try my $5 photo vectorizer program. And I have to tell you, it's a pain in the butt. There are other ways I think you can vectorize some of these things. I believe you can probably also change an image, a pixel image, into a vector file via both Photoshop and Lightroom. Because when I was checking for information regarding that, I ran across how many different ways to take an image and make it a vector. But hey, I bought this $5 beauty and I was going to use it whether it worked or not. So anyway, what I've got now is, we're getting there because you can see that my picture is still there.
Ellen, can you tell us what the advantage of going to a vector format is?
I've because of the things that I like to do, I am nowhere near as good as a lot of the members in this group, but I am more interested in seeing how I can deal with adding layers, adding different combinations. And as soon as I can bring this up.
Yeah, I would click your recent picture there and that should open it up. I think it's lost the file.
I think there. Okay. So this is this is not the one here. This is the file that I came up with in Illustrator. So I brought it into InDesign. Now, and I'm still experimenting with this, but what I now can do easier, and I'm sure I could do this in Photoshop as well, but what I also can do is add color blocks. And if I wanted to add more different things and then change my opacity and add things to the background, this is by no means complete. That's why I called it House Semi-Final. And then the final thing I did was just to take the picture, and again, with the file that I made vector, I put it over, I think I put this one over the top, and then I changed the transparency on the bottom one, but you can see it gives it sort of a different kind of tone or texture to it. Now, I would change a lot of things and maybe make some of this information highlight, go back into the photo and lighten some of the trees and the grass and so on. But this was just the first time I was trying this to see if I could do it. My initial impact was, and I can change the top and get rid of that black part too. But my initial part was to combine both vector and image, and whether I wanted to change the colors on some of them or maybe make some of the lines heavier. It was just a way of adding a different feel to it rather than a straight on photographic image to it. And what I would probably do also is then add different type, not necessarily words, but maybe other different sort of images that I would blend into the background. So I have a different way of looking at things than anybody else. I mean, we all have our own ways of looking at things, but this is what intrigues me more. I've been on a perpetual hunt for a watercolor program for God knows how many years, and I still haven't been able to find a decent one. Although maybe if I just sat down and spent some time doing it, it would work. But anyway, that was my experience with it. And at times, first of all, it was painful. Only because I have the instructions for the photo vectorizer and there's a YouTube tutorial, but I couldn't get the damn thing to have any sound. So I have not been having good luck the last couple of days. So I don't know what the heck all other YouTube videos are fine, you know, and I get the sound and so on, but I don't know what happened with this one. So I'm learned a lot this particular meeting, and one of them is how to and how not to Zoom. So any questions?
Now you're all set up for Zoom, so that's the good part.
I've got it. So now I have to commit to being able to put some things together. Okay, I got that. Thank you for your patience and time and techniques and tips and learning and that whole thing. So, all right.
Yeah.
Next up.
We just,
Who wants to go?
it just got pointed out to me that for about 3 minutes, we had a purple sunset tonight.
Oh.
Oh, now I stop sharing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that was simple. Thank you. The stop sharing. Thank you all for your help.
I can try next if you wish.
Okay, go ahead. Steve, it's such a big photo. I can't email it. I sent it by WeTransfer. I can send it to you again that way, but you want it tonight right away?
No, I just want to make sure I can get it in the future. That's
Okay.
all. I didn't,
I'll
I never got any email at all about it.
Oh,
like,
okay. Sorry
for some
about
reason.
that.
So, and I
Yeah.
kind of snoozed. I knew it was coming, and I figured once I got the email, it would remind me to do something. And
Yeah,
I
you
forgot.
should have gotten an email from WeTransfer that said, download this file. So,
I'll double check. When did you send it roughly? What day?
oh, beginning of the month. Few
Beginning
days
of
after the
beginning of April.
after,
Or
yeah,
May?
after it was after our. God, I can't remember. I've done so many things.
I think I've had it for about 2 or 3 weeks already, though, Jeff.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. It was like it was after our last meeting, and yeah, probably about a week after our meeting.
It's called WeTransfer, like W.
Yeah, it would have come
WV.
from WeTransfer.com because it was so big. Actually, I was going to have to do it with any of them because all my raw files are big. So,
Jeff, are you seeing my screen now?
yes, I'm seeing your screen and looks like pretty much the original file.
That is the original file as we received it. And
Yep.
one of the, I figured I would explain at least my thinking as to why I did what I did. When I, over the COVID times, there were a lot of good presenters talking about how they look and edit their photos. And I tried to pick some of the best ideas from many of the people. And one of them was Tim Shields has a way of looking at photos and saying, what is the hero of this photograph? And what are the villains that take away from the hero? Now, it could be this photographer right here could be the hero. And maybe that's what we were looking at. I don't think Jeff expected that. But then I started looking at what do I see on this photograph that would make me think this was what we were supposed to be looking at. And my guess was it probably was this area over here. And when I look to the far left, these are, from my point of view, villains for a variety of reasons. I see a building that's being cut by this pole. And yes, I could reconstruct it by getting rid of this pole, but that's a lot of work. I see that there's a lot of grass here, and half the photograph is of grass. And I don't think that's probably what we would want to look at, because again, that's more of a villain taking away from things. So I did decide to zoom in on it and take a look at it and just started playing with the brightnesses. Now this is way over brightness, that's a new word. But this has got too much brightness and it still needs a lot of work, but I wanted to show this was an initial adjustment. And again, I see Jeff over here. I don't really want to see some of that stuff. I want to make sure that we don't have that. I then came back, got rid of him, said, okay, that's fine. Let's bring the buildings down in brightness. That's fine. And then I finally said, we still can't have half the grass here. It was just too much. So I finally figured this kind of gave me a sense of the town we're looking at. We still see the hero part over here. I thought this was okay, but this is where you have to make some decisions as to how far do you want to go on a photograph. And when I look at this one, I say to myself, I know when you go on a vacation, you would love to be there for a lot of days to get the perfect skies, the perfect lighting, the perfect this, perfect that, but that doesn't happen. And I know we've had a guy that was on here talking about he was a black and white photographer, had photographed trees sometimes 200 times trying to get the perfect lighting and the perfect feel and whatever. And I look at this and I say, I don't think if Jeff had his pick of days, this wouldn't have been the day he would have photographed, because the sky isn't really helping us here. And it really makes you look at it, but then you kind of move on to the next step. So I thought, what would happen if I did something as simple as replace the sky? I think this already makes a big difference. And just by changing the sky, and this was on one program, I didn't look around for a ton of skies. I said, what sky sort of works? Threw it in. And today's programs are so good at putting these things in. Even the details in many of these different places are really, really good. But I thought that's a nice sky. And again, if I were going to work on this much more, I still would start looking at little things like this, that maybe this little shadow would go, maybe the sign over on the right over here would go. I would work on that. But I thought, what if I found a different sky, even more dramatic, kind of a different look to it? This is a very different look, giving more of a magenta feel. And these were two different programs. One of these was on one, that was the first one. This is Luminar Neo. These are literally one-click changes, and then you have to maybe make a few slider adjustments. But again, the programs are absolutely amazing. So for me, this gives a much better feel to the whole photo, and all you've done is something very simple like a sky change. Now, again, you'll notice that these programs are getting sophisticated and that the sky colors also come over the photograph. So the magentas show up here, where if we were on the other one, this was more of a yellow, kind of a bluish color with sun coming from behind us. So you'll see different colors here. And again, you can adapt some of these if you wish, but I think that really helps. And then I thought, what if I tried one more look to this picture? And that is, you can go into Photoshop, and there are ways of making your daytime picture look like nighttime. It's a little harder to do, but not much, believe me. It's actually a pretty simple thing. This sort of works, but it doesn't work. But I thought, I know how to make this work a little bit better. I put the light on. By putting the light on and adding some reddish color here in the grass, like this was actually coming from this lighthouse. This looks now like a morning photo of the same area. So this could be early morning, the lighthouse is still on, it's not bright enough for the lighthouse to go off, and we see all of the different colors. So I thought this was my third adaptation of this same thing, but it was all on the same basic image, but just showing how much you can do if you choose with really simple changes. So anyway, that was kind of what I did.
Interesting. Pretty good.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, I don't have my list of who all.
I can do mine real quick.
Okay, Ian, go ahead.
Just to let you know, it was April 11th that you sent the file, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, you should be seeing Lightroom.
Yep.
So, as I mentioned, I took the other chunk of the photo that Ellen didn't use. Again, here's. It's way over there. Yeah, you can see I cut off all that stuff. I didn't do, I wouldn't say I did a dramatic amount to this photo. I did pretty much my standard edits. I pay attention to my histogram. I don't really care that a few things are blown out in the shadows because they're supposed to be dark areas. But I, reduced the highlights. I dramatically increased the shadows, dramatically increased the blacks because all this stuff was very, very dark. Especially the grass area down here was very, very dark. I liked up texture. In this case, landscape, buildings, I do some clarity and some dehaze because again, this part was a little bit farther away. It was a little softer, kind of gave it a little more of a punch. So those are kind of my standard run and mill changes I make. I did play with the colors a bit, just to kind of tweak them here or there. It's purely trial and error. The luminance on the roof, I wanted to bring down a little bit. The grass, same thing. I bump it up, it's a little brighter, so it just kind of mutes it a little bit. Interestingly enough, this purple area is what's popping in the shadow here. So raising the luminance there actually brighten that area up, which I like. So I play with the colors. Some standard color grading things. I like blue shadows, and then I like warm mid-tones, and then I like blue highlights, and I find they balance each other out pretty well. So that's what I did there. Usually I play at the mid-tone luminance, but I didn't on this one. My usual sharpening. And transform, I should say. The first thing I did was I came in. Normally I would like line up all these lines with the little brackets and everything. In this case, I just hit auto and I was like, that's a pretty good job. So I left it. Otherwise, you get this kind of off angle and everything because it was shot on a panoramic. So, and then the calibration, sometimes punching up your saturation, your blue makes things pop a little bit, makes the sky pop a little bit, makes it a little more vibrant. So that's one I always check also. So I wouldn't say I did anything dramatic. I didn't leave Lightroom. I did some spot cleaning. There were some spots that I noticed around it, so I cleaned those up. And that's really about it on mine. Similar, I will say real quick, similar to what was just discussed. I looked at the whole fight. Let's see if I do a shot. There we go. I looked at the full panorama and I too was like, there's a lot going on here. There's a bench poking in the corner here. Like mentioned, the building blocked by the pillar. There's shadow of the photographer. So it's kind of like, what do I want to focus on? I didn't like how this building was half in the shadows, half bright. So it was basically down to, did I want to cut just this section out, or did I want to go this way? And I figured with the lighthouse and everything, this was the area to go. So that's why I ended up over there. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ian. Who else did we have?
I can go.
Okay, Patty.
Yeah, if I can figure out how to share my screen. Hang on. Okay.
You want my help?
No. Okay, so I've got the thing where it says share. Which one do I click on?
Desktop
one, probably.
Don't see anything that says desktop one. Let me just hit the share thing again and see what happens.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen or no?
Yeah, we see the Zoom.
Okay, let me get rid of the Zoom thing. There we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Now we see it.
So I'm on my laptop in my living room, and I did, which I don't have Lightroom or anything on my laptop. It's all on my desktop. So I did this on my desktop and then made screen grabs to show you what I did because I'm not technical. So for the image, I tried to decide what was the main subject and what the composition was. And it's a shame to waste a perfectly good pano someone went to the trouble of making a pano. I'm not going to cut it back up into little individual pieces, but on the left side, that's just messy where the post was, it's cut off. And then on the right side, you got the bench and everything. So I ended up with this, and I think I probably ended up cropping it or changing it again. But I started here, and then I decided, got the shadows. I didn't know that was a photographer's shadow. I had no idea what that was a shadow of, but I just decided that I wanted to create something that was a very stark image, because of the deep shadows on the half and half of that building. I wanted to make the shadows part of the subject and make something that was going to be real contrasty and real dramatic. So I did a little bit of editing. So I cranked up the contrast. That's up to like plus 36. Increased the exposure just slightly at 0.13. Took the highlights down minus 60. I had started out with setting the white point at plus 9 and the blacks at plus 8. And then under the presence, the texture, I increased that to plus 14 and I cranked the heck out of the clarity and went up to plus 70. And then the vibrance plus 34 to kind of get all the contrasty looks that I was after for this. And then let's see what we got here. Yeah, here's like all the settings and everything. And I did the hit the transform thing because everything was kind of leaning back. And then this looks weird. Why is it? I'm trying to just show one picture. There we go. Okay, so here's like the histogram after I got done with it. And this is what the histogram looked like before with the color. And then what I ended up with was the black and white. I converted it over in Nick Silver Effects, and then I just started going through all of the different programs, in Silver Effects, and tried to get the ones that had like the deepest shadows and made the sky for as bald as it was to make it look somewhat ominous, and make the shadows look really dark and dramatic and everything. So yeah, and then I did adjust. I got rid of the, I don't know if I didn't get rid of it, I meant to get rid of it, the bench on the side there, and ended up with this as my final image. Let me see if I got, oh, I didn't get I meant to take the bench out. It's supposed to be gone. So so I only did a half-ass job on this, but anyway, that's what I ended up with. Kind of the idea of what I was going for is to make like a dark, ominous, Hitchcockian kind of looking neighborhood or place where zombies show up at night and that sort of thing.
That's what I need to add into there.
Yeah, zombies, that'll do it. Maybe that's a zombie shadow.
Yeah.
Okay, now how do I get back out of here? Stop share.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Who else? Linnea, you had.
I had asked for it, but mine was secret because as I watch everybody's idea, that's what I think I would do. So I just wanted to do it and kind of see what I would come up with
Oh,
and then
okay.
compare. And,
All
and it's
right.
beautiful. I just got to tell you, it's beautiful. And then I'll mute myself again.
It's okay. Anybody else that I sent it to? All right, so we missed Steve. I don't know why you didn't get yours, but I'll send you a copy so you can play with it if you'd like.
But do it just to make sure I get it for in the future too. 'Cause,
Yeah.
You know, as I
I
said,
don't
my
normally.
cat, I've gotten pictures with WeTransfer before.
Yeah. This one was just bigger because I thought it had a lot of problems, and that's why I thought, well, let's try that.
And I should have come back to you in a week ago and said, "Did you send it out yet? I haven't seen
Yeah.
it." So.
Yeah, and I should have double checked, and I just got busy with Wacko. So
Yeah, I could, because I could have done something. I could have given you a OneDrive link or something to try to upload it to that too. But I don't know why the WeTransfer didn't work for me. It's worked in the past.
yeah. Okay, let me just see if I can. I just got to get rid of something here. Hide meeting controls. Okay. So here, this is what I sent everybody, and I knew it was a big file, but it had a lot of interesting, challenging parts to it, and I was curious to see what everybody would end up doing. Actually, what it sort of ended up was Ellen picked the middle shot that I had done. Ian picked the first shot that I had done. All of this was an HDR handheld panel that I did. So no tripod, no nothing. You're right. This is me. This is Brian, and that's Ken standing next to me. So all three of us were in there. So I should have set this up because what I ended up doing was the first thing I do is I just run, after I processed it as a panel, and I really didn't want to run through all that with everybody's, but to be honest, all I ended up doing was hitting auto and letting it get me close to what I wanted. And then I tweaked the temperature control to be a little warmer because this was a sunrise shot. I didn't go quite that far. And I'll show a finished one. And this is the finished version of the shot. Now, I had a reason for shooting this is that I was doing a talk and needed the whole panorama for the talk. So you can see the finished version. I got rid of the people. I got rid of the cars. There's some cars showing over here. I lightened up the shadow. I added clouds. And I'm going to show how I did the clouds. I got rid of a bunch of stuff over here. I got rid of the bench over there. Warmed it up and adjusted the color temperature. I think I even straightened the buildings, look like they were pretty well straightened. So let me, well, let's see. We'll just open this one up right in, where to go? Edit in, Photoshop, and edit original. So it's a huge file when it got done because I have quite a few layers, and we'll see how well my Mac Studio can handle bringing this up. There it comes. Of course, it's showing up on the wrong panel, so let's move it over so everybody can see it. And I'll go through all the different finishing touches. So let me turn everything off. And so you can see this is how it came into Photoshop. Slightly warmed. all the shadows there. First thing I did was remove the shadows. That was basically just using the clone stamp tool or content aware stuff. I also got rid of the bench. So I wanted to get rid of that stuff. And I thought, I'll live with these shadows. I might be cropping up from the bottom. But I couldn't decide. So I kept it for the time being. I then took it into Nick and I did a brilliance and warmth because this was shot early in the morning before Whitefish Point opened up. Otherwise, you have tons of people here. So this was first thing in the morning. And 9 out of 10 times when I do come here, the sky is bald blue. Hardly ever we had a few clouds floating around, but not much. So I warmed it up to make it more like a early morning sunrise. I then removed the car shadows, and that was basically using content aware fill to get rid of the car shadows. And then I added the clouds. Now, I could have done it the way Jim did it, and I actually tried a couple, and I don't like using somebody else's clouds, so they always have to be my clouds. So I went through and I found some. I did try the cloud replacement in Photoshop, and it did a fairly decent job. Actually, I probably could. Let's see if we get rid of these clouds, and if I do a stamp layer. So if I can show you here that, let's see, sky replacement. Since we've got time. So here's the sky replacement panel, and I threw in a bunch of my own clouds, and as it works, and some of these weren't bad. What I really had a problem with was it started to lose the superstructure of the lighthouse, and I couldn't decide if I wanted to work with that or not. Now this is my own clouds. I brought in some. I actually thought this one might be a nice one for it to make it more of a stormy looking day. So I have a couple, and then I thought, well, maybe just a little bit of cloud, and I could move that one up and down. I liked this one, except that it just wasn't going where I wanted, but I actually liked this part of the cloud, so that I'll show you how I ended up getting it. I had this one here, which wasn't too shabby. And I kept trying different ones of my own that I uploaded into Lightroom or into Photoshop. And some of them work halfway decent. And I probably could have stopped there, but I just wasn't completely thrilled with it. I was leaning towards this one as going to be probably my final one because it sort of matched the morning, although I would have needed to warm up these clouds to match the warmth of the building, although I probably could have played with it. But say if I would have stuck with that one, I could have then shifted the edge, because you can shift where the bottom of the edge of the clouds go, and you do need to do that, and you could fade it. I could warm up those clouds so that it was more like a sunrise instead of the pink, which would have been a sunset. And I could even scale the clouds, although being that it was a panel, scaling it, I had to be careful because it would cut off. So you need to make sure it's wide enough. And I choose the multiply, and I could adjust the foreground lighting and the edge lighting and all that. And I could output it as a new layer, which is what I ended up trying to do. But I wasn't real thrilled with how it was cutting out, and I didn't feel like fooling with those posts. And for the story I wanted to tell, which was, here's the whole Whitefish Point Museum, what I should have done was stepped over a couple more feet to this side, so I would have gotten a pole so it wouldn't have intersected with the building, but I blew that part. So what I ended up doing was adding these clouds, and what it is actually a brush. And so if I open this up, I also have cleanup because the clouds with the brush had some problems that I wanted to get the clouds to look different. This is the same cloud 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I ended up taking one of the cloud pictures that I had and using that to make a brush. So once I made the brush, I could start with a blank layer and go to my brush tool. And if I open it up, I have a couple of clouds, actually 3 different ones. And when I bring it up, I can actually just click and I've got a cloud. Click again and I've got another cloud. If I want to make it a little smaller, I can make it smaller. I can switch to a different cloud where I just really reversed it. And I can add another one and another one. And I can add as many clouds as I want. And then I went in there and did some cloning to make them different because it had that little hook there on the end. But this is a nice, simple way to add clouds. And if you do it right, they look as real as a normal cloud does. You really can't tell the difference. And it's a brush.
Can you stamp those on top of each other and make a bigger cloud?
Sure, I can do that. I could create them all the way across. I can actually, that particular one didn't have, I had separated some of these clouds out so they wouldn't, I guess that it's not sticking on them. But you can also adjust that so that, I could have swore, smoothing, scatter, space dynamics, I think. I always have to remember how to do some of this stuff. There's a way, I've got it so that you could actually drag it and it would do a cloud here and a cloud there. But yeah, you can actually just overstamp it. I'm working on, I think there's a jitter part in here and I just couldn't get it to work right where it would actually spin the brush. I think it's scatter actually. So that I can try different things to make the clouds look different. So it can be a handy brush. You can make it from any cloud. You can make a brush from anything that's black and white. And you just have to reverse it. For a cloud, you just have to reverse the image so that the cloud is black and the background is white. And I've just created my own clouds so that I can plop them in wherever I may need, or I can, put wherever I want or use them for anything that I want. So that's how I ended up creating my cloud layer. And I sort of like you know, just a couple, it just needed a couple of puffy clouds in there. And I just made them bigger, smaller, and had some flipped. And then I went in and cloned some of the edges of the cloud to get rid of the hook part, and change so the cloud look slightly different from one another. Because if you got three identical looking clouds, it doesn't look well as either.
Can you use each sample as a free transform and tilt it?
Yeah, you could, if you wanted to put it each cloud on a separate layer, you could transform it and stretch it and do what you want to it. Sure. But you'd have to do each cloud stamp on a separate layer for that to work. But it would work that way.
Okay.
So that's my final. Now, I had a purpose for this panel, which is why I ended up leaving this in. I really got to admit, I wished I would have taken about 5 more steps to the right, which would have gotten this building cleared, and it would have shown the whole Whitefish Point Museum. I have a ton of shots of just the lighthouse itself, which is always, it's my favorite lighthouse. And I do have a decent shot with clouds. So, taken a number of years back when I got lucky and had just the right amount of clouds. But I thought this was a kind of image that would make everybody think a little bit and had lots of little problems. I mean, I believe there was actually a chain over here and the brick wasn't quite right. So I fixed up the brick and that. I thought about getting rid of this, but trying to fill in what the rest of this building, I actually thought about cropping this part out, which would have worked because I could have still kept the entrance to this part of the museum open. But I figured, for what I'm using it for, it's going into a slide deck. It's going to be seen for 5 seconds. I decided let's leave everything in. But so that's how I processed it and my thinking behind it. It ended up being, let's see, does it say? Document size is 2 gigabytes in size when I was all done with it. So.
Can I
Yeah,
just say
you
for
run out
those,
of memory space real quick.
and I
Yeah.
just want to say for those people who want to try to do these sky replacements, I would say Photoshop is the least friendly. And then the other two, there are other ones like, as I said, On1 or Neo. Both of those are much easier to work with and wind up getting rid of a lot of the structure. I mean, putting the structures back in, not taking them out like Photoshop tends to do. So that just makes that a little easier.
Yeah, I just don't have any of those programs anymore. So, and
Yeah.
I never could figure out how to add my own skies to those programs. So,
Yeah, I have skies. I just figured this was for demonstrations just to
Yep.
show what the differences would be if you chose to go that direction. That's
yeah,
kind of why I also said some people don't want to manipulate their photos. And then also, if you ever put these into contests, obviously you need to really read the rules. Like Wacko contests require that they are your own clouds. You couldn't just
Yep.
take somebody else's clouds. So it just depends on what you're going to do with the photos.
yeah, yeah. This would be a completely legit one for Wacko and for most competitions because everything was my own. I even designed the brush style for the cloud. So, but yeah, there's a lot of good detail. This is a very interesting place. Now, I got to admit, I handheld shot this as an HDR, and it was an HDR panel, so there were 9 shots total. And they all lined up real nice and easy, which I was surprised. And then when it worked, I thought, oh, this would be a good one to send for it. But nope. So hopefully everybody learned a little something. So you can do things simple. You could just do stuff and process it in Lightroom. and get away with, halfway decent. I mean, if I was just doing it and I just would hit auto and do some tweaking, I got to admit, I would probably, if I didn't need it for a specific purpose, I probably would crop it to here to get rid of the post. And actually, this could be cropped in to get rid of the bench because you really don't need that. This I would bring way up because you don't need that much and you don't need that much sky. So if you were just gonna wanted a panel of this, that would be a good working spot. The nice part is then this is super easy to get rid of. Ken and Brian are easy to get rid of.
Yep, something I've done on some panoramics like this where you've got limited space to try and get the subjects in without other things in the way is I've taken and I've walked in a straight line in front and taken my pictures. One place where that worked really great was trying to take the paintings on ceilings in
Sure.
Russia, that you walk from one end of the room to the other taking shots and then paste them together in Lightroom and they come out terrific.
Yeah. No, you can do a lot of stuff though just in Lightroom. That's a good point. I had a lot of cars and a lot of stuff in the way to walk in front of this parking lot. So, and it was just I just picked a point that I thought was center. I really should have been farther over, more here. This time of morning is always hard. You get a lot of shadows all over. Although the HDR picked up quite a bit of it. You can see that I pretty much opened the shadows way up. I could see there's a little more that I'd end up cleaning up. The nice part is Lightroom has fixed up their cleanup stuff pretty well. But yeah, plain blue sky has always been a problem at Whitefish Point, but no. So they were all interesting ideas on how to process it. I'm always interested when I see what somebody does with my photos. It's hard enough when it's your own photos, but to see what somebody else will do to your photo is sort of interesting. So, yeah, we're 1:45, not too bad. So I think, unless we have any other questions, I guess we can call it a night, huh, Roger? Unless somebody's got a question on anything, we can try to answer that if you need.
We've covered everything on my list. I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
I have one quick question. Lightroom Classic versus so I'm just getting back into post-processing. The last time I used Photoshop, I think it was CS3 years ago. So
Okay.
I'm looking for suggestions or recommendations on the best or better program to use, please.
Well, Lightroom Classic is the desktop version of Lightroom. That's generally the one you want to use. If you use the regular Lightroom that Adobe has, that one's really meant for iPhone and phone photographers that just want to keep everything where you could process it either on your phone, on the desktop, or on an iPad. But if you're storing your photos on a hard drive on your computer, then you want to use Lightroom Classic, which is a desktop version of it.
Yeah.
It's
and
like
Lightroom.
$9.95 a month.
Yeah.
So
So then Lightroom versus Photoshop? Pros and
well,
cons, or
Photoshop, you end up using Photoshop when you've got stuff that's beyond Lightroom's capability. Lightroom can't add those clouds. You can darken the sky, you can lighten the sky, you can retouch stuff out, but it does it just to a certain point. Photoshop lets you add other elements into the photo and does a better job of getting rid of stuff, cloning things out, or doing a content aware replace. Lightroom's catching up, but Photoshop still is a very good program for doing that. You can replace the skies with it. You can pull objects. You can select objects easier to do things to a specific object, or to remove an object, or to remove a background. Photoshop just does that better. Now, some people use, like you've heard here, on one photo raw, which can be used either all by itself in replacement of Lightroom and Photoshop as an all-in-one tool. Then there's a company called Luminaire. Actually, that's Skyloom, and their product is called Luminaire Neo. And that sort of is a all-in-one replacement for Lightroom and Photoshop. Both On1 and Luminaire have their own set of limitations, but they're set up to be pretty easy to use. Luminaire, I think Neo is probably easier to use than On1 Photo, although I haven't used either one of them lately. So I haven't been keeping up. I used to own all of them so that I could know what is going on with them. They've each gotten just so complicated that I found it wasn't worth me trying to first spend all that money every year to keep up with the latest version. And I just don't have the time anymore to keep up with all these new versions. They keep bringing new stuff out on all of this stuff on a pretty constant basis. So
sounds like a full-time job just to keep up with them.
It used to be for me.
So if you get the Lightroom with the subscription, you also get Photoshop. And
yeah,
Lightroom is, I kind of like it because not only does it do all of the modifications to the photographs, it also does a pretty good job of being a database for your photos, so that if you care to put in keywords and things like that, you can always find your photographs pretty easy. And now that I'm getting up, I don't know, I think it's over 130,000 pictures. That's kind of important.
yeah.
Jeff, Joe Higgin, I do have a question
Sure.
for you. I'm not sure if it was a digital forum or this tonight. You showed a program called AKVIS Paint. Do you recall that?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't remember where I showed it either.
Yeah. Anyway, I acquired the program, and I'm having a little trouble making it work within Photoshop. And I've been in contact with the company, and I'm doing what they say to do, but it doesn't want to work. I'd like to share my screen with you for a second, if I might.
Oh, sure.
Okay, I think you
Yeah.
got to click first.
Yeah, I got to stop sharing. I just have to get that window back. Just a minute. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, share screen. Okay. Okay, I'm in Photoshop and I've got this picture here. And what they recommend, of course, I don't know what this is, to go to filters, to open up the program. And when I
Yep.
do, here's what happens. Yeah. I get a background picture of it. I'm able to make some modifications over here, but that little square, you know, where the modifications are supposed to take place.
Okay, drag that window over to your Photoshop window.
Well, here's the problem. This won't move. See, I've got this circle going around and that everything locks up.
I think we're only seeing Photoshop at the moment. We don't.
Yeah, we're only seeing your Photoshop, but we're
Oh, you're
not
not seeing the
seeing.
picture.
Yeah,
Ah.
I'm seeing a castle or something.
Okay, the problem is you're seeing a castle. Are you seeing a larger picture behind it?
No.
No, just a black.
Okay. Well, do you see the circle flying around it or not?
We see your pointer, but I don't. When you open the picture, I don't see any of the Photoshop palettes.
Well,
try redoing your share. I think you just shared the application and you're not your whole desktop.
well,
yeah,
okay. Here's the issue. What I'm seeing on my screen is a picture of that castle. Behind that picture is another picture of the castle, which is larger. Then the program changes that you can make are on the right side.
Right.
In the middle of the first picture, it's the apple rainbow, that circle that is going round and round and round and round. And when you did your demo, there was a smaller picture that showed up when you made the changes. And then when you closed the program, those changes took effect for the entire picture.
Right.
But right now, the only way I can make anything happen right at this moment is to go up to Photoshop and close the entire program. Nothing takes effect. And I'm doing exactly what the company told me to do, you know, to open up the picture, to go to one of the filters, open up the filter, and it should work the way you showed us how it worked, but nothing happens. I'm locked out and I don't know where to go from here. I've emailed the company and they've sent me instructions and I can read directions, but
yeah,
it's happening. So
now let me.
So I don't know where to go, but I would love to be able to convert some of my pictures to that painterly effect, like you showed us. You know, to use it either as a picture or whatever. You're back into Photoshop, okay?
Yeah, I'm. Let me. I just got to get.
If you go to your filters up there, that program should be.
Yeah, so if you go under filter, wait. Yeah, I got to make sure. Oh, that's why that's not turned on. Okay. I actually did an oil painting version of it, which is sort of funny that you mentioned that because this is the oil painted version.
Okay.
Of that shot. But
well, that's the kind of stuff I want to do, but that program's not letting me do it.
Yeah. So let me turn that off. Now you're working on a full layer of the whole image, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's a raw image.
Yeah. So then you go filter.
That program. And
yeah.
when it opens
Oil
up,
paint.
Bingo. You have the one picture there.
Yeah, I have the picture here,
square.
and then the little small one here. the only thing that you'll see change when you do changes is in the little square, which you
Right.
can move that square around. I'm not quite sure why they did it that way, because I think that's the one part I don't like.
Yeah.
You've got your presets, so you can pick a preset.
Well, the problem is when I open up a picture, it shows up. But when I try to make any modifications, I get that other picture behind what you're looking at here. And that's, it's just absolutely, I can't figure it out. I think I've totally eliminated the program from the computer. I've downloaded it again. And
So you said you got the spinning wheel for a while?
yeah, exactly.
And it never stopped spinning?
It never stopped spinning until I closed Photoshop.
Well, that's probably telling me that you're running out of memory space.
I mean, I've got a computer with a lot of memory here.
Okay, because I know that right now I'm using Mac Ultra with 2 terabytes of hard drive space and 64 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm running at 75% capacity of my computer, which is a ton of processing power right now.
Maybe I'll go back in and give them another call and see what's going on. But
yeah, I mean, if you click the after, it will actually take whatever presets you've done and fill it up onto the main screen.
Right. That's what it's supposed to do. I remember you doing the demo.
Yeah. But, and then when you're completely happy, you just hit the check mark.
Bingo.
To apply.
I mean, I've tried to do everything you've done, and nothing seems to function properly. All right.
Yeah, my first guess would be.
Thanks anyway.
Yeah, it might be a memory problem.
Okay.
Not enough RAM or hard drive space.
Yeah. Yeah. Shouldn't be. Okay.
Yeah, that is
that's usually what the little circle means, but
yeah, that's usually when things keep spinning like that. It's that you're sort of out of memory.
now, do you have the freestanding model or the one that is also a plug-in, or both?
I have the one that's also a plug-in.
Okay.
And freestanding.
All right.
I bought their pro version because I thought I might sell some of this stuff.
Well, that's what I'm. Just throw another $50 away. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it should work.
Okay.
Well,
let me play with it some more.
Try a clean startup and a ridiculously small image once.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. It's got me baffled.
Jeff, have you tried the new Photoshop beta, the replace tool?
No.
You want me to show it real quick?
Sure, if you want to show it.
It's pretty impressive. Show you guys this real quick. It will only take a second.
Yeah. I just didn't feel like messing up my computer with a beta version.
You can put them in tandem. You can have the beta and the regular. So that's how I run.
I've had too many things going on.
So there's a bunch of things with the beta. Apparently, I've literally used this for like 5 minutes, but I saw a video on the new replacement tool and figured I wanted to give it a try. There's also this like new toolbar thing down here, but you can look that up yourself. I'm just going to show you the replacement option. So this is Jeff's image that we played with earlier, And now, you know, you had spot healing brush, content aware tool, etc. But now there's this new remove tool, which my understanding is this is using good old some AI processing power. And it very much reminds me of, you know, you see these apps on phones that you can like drag and touch things and remove things. So you can just drag over and things are removed. It's really good with edges. That one's not a good one. You can like take out a window, just paint over what you want. The window disappears. So obviously you wouldn't do this on probably what I'm doing, but I'm just illustrating like how quick and easy you can, you know, remove things, and you can clean things up after the fact if you need to. But it's just you don't have to mask it really close. You just roll over it, and it does a pretty decent job even on like, I tried it on this earlier. This is your shadow that we all talked about. Just paint it out. My brush a little bit bigger, but that's okay.
Geez, I remember in the old days where you'd have to wait like a year and
Here you
a
go.
half to 2 years for an upgrade on some of these programs. And now it's like every 2.5 weeks, and it's just so hard to keep up.
Well,
And
that's part of the reason why we have subscription now. It lets them put this stuff out faster. Otherwise, you had to wait for a major upgrade and then you
I know.
paid for it.
I know.
But yeah, I've seen
don't-
this and it's amazing how good it is.
I'm just not that fast.
I mean, all I'm doing is literally just like clicking on things and things disappear. Now there might be some artifacts here and there that you got to clean up after the fact, but it's a heck
you
of
know,
a
you have to
starting
do
point.
Yeah. You just go over it again and it cleans it up even better after.
Yep. So heads up.
And it actually is doing a better job on the grass than the way that I ended up replacing it. So
yeah, so that's where it does better than content aware, because
Yeah.
it's got this like, you know, AI ability to know like, oh, that's grass. Grass looks like this. And it kind of like knows the patterns, versus when you do content aware, this sometimes gets a little wonky with especially with depth of field. That's what the demo was. There's a pretty good demo YouTube video that I watched today. That's how I learned about it. I'll throw it out in the group if anybody wants to see some more on this. But
yeah,
he
Matt
also even has the
Kloskowski
instruction.
talked about it.
Even
too,
has
so.
example or instructions on how to install the beta if you want to install the beta. So yeah, just figured I'd throw it out there. It's something that's, you know, not in current Photoshop right now, but it's coming and it'll be better than what I'm doing right now when it does show
Yeah.
up. Like security cameras. There is security camera. You can imagine how nice this is for power lines.
Yeah.
That was another thing. That was another thing you mentioned. This checkbox up here, remove after each stroke. So you can uncheck it, and then you can do something like, I'm trying to find a good example. Here, we'll do something like this. You click here, and then you can hold, I think, the shift key. Yep, and it automatically paints a nice straight line for me. And then I can say yes, and then it takes out that section. So if you got power lines, you would, you know, beginning of the power line, hold shift, end of power line, click that, and then if this was a power line, they'll take it out for you. So pretty
now
cool.
we just need the lighthouse tipping over and it'd be perfect.
I'm gonna cut the lighthouse down. That's what I'm gonna take all supports out. So that's all. Just figured I'd throw that in there real quick. Thought it was pretty neat to check that out today.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen it demoed a couple different times, and I just, with everything going on, I haven't gotten to downloading the beta. And I know, yeah, you could run it side by side. They've actually made it in Lightroom so that you can decide which Photoshop you want to run too. So
yeah, I have. If I right click, it gives me the option Photoshop or Photoshop Beta.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the new denoise tool is pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
in Lightroom.
Yeah.
And that's in current Lightroom. If you haven't played with the AI denoise and you've got some ridiculously noisy image, it's impressive how much it recovers it.
Yeah. They're starting to say it's better than Topaz.
Hmm
So
What did I just buy? I think I just bought Topaz's like 2 weeks before. I bought it after our zoo trip, and then Lightroom came out. It's now both, but oh well.
yeah. Yeah. No, the stuff's coming at us left and right, and Photoshop is catching up real quick to a lot of the other companies. They were a little behind.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of other good stuff, coming. So, no. Any other questions, comments?
Well, thanks for all the help tonight. So now I'm all set up to share my screen whenever
Yeah.
I'm in the mood.
My problem is I can't remember all the settings for Monterey anymore. I'm all working now with the Ventura, and it's a completely different preference panel. So
yeah.
Oh dear.
Once your computer's set, you can forget about all the things you did to get it there.
Yeah. Well,
You'll be able to run the show next month.
Till you get a new computer and have to remember how to do it all again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. I got to set a person's computer up, brand new computer up tomorrow, and I've got to make sure that I set all those settings so that I can zoom in and control her computer from my place later on. So it's always fun figuring those settings back out. But
All right. Good night, folks.
Good
Good
night.
night.
all right. Well, anybody interested in volunteering for vice president, please give me a call. Otherwise, look out. I may be calling.
On that note, I'll leave.
First person that leaves gets to be vice president. Boy, look at them all disappear.
Yeah.
Hey, that's okay. I could probably outlast everybody on here, and then I stay up real late.
Wait a minute. You are vice president.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be president pretty soon. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, good night, everybody.
Thanks for
Night.
everything.
Good night.
Thank you.
Great show.
Bye.